So how has teaching and education in general changed you over the years?
Well, I'm a big fan of public education. I really feel that public education saved my life in many ways.
How have values changed throughout the years as far as what kids valued then and what kids value now?
The impact through social media is what they value. And that's not necessarily a human-to-human contact value system. It's more nudging, it's more dialogue with them, it's more encouraging of them than we had in the past.
What are some things that the Teaching Career Academy provides to students?
Well, we've always looked at ourselves not only as educators, but in being in all of the helping professions. We run a dual enrollment program. You have a series of child development classes. At the end of those 2 years, you end up with an actual teaching certificate.
How do you deal with challenges, whether in the classroom?
I am a human and I am a person, and this is my life and I got things to do. So I make them happen because I get this life and I want a lot out of it.
Dr. Bender, welcome to the inaugural The Principal podcast. I want to start off by asking you, you just retired from Hollywood High School. How many years have you been teaching here?
I was at Hollywood High School for 21 years. I started in 2004. I came from John Burroughs Middle School. The principal at the time that was here at Hollywood used to be the principal at John Burroughs. And so she lured me over here with the promise of starting a new small school that would be known as the Teaching Career Academy. So
Wow.
That's how I landed here all those years ago.
And talk to me about why social studies?
History has always been a love. I was a bookish kid. I loved reading books. I loved going places in my head far away, and that just drew me to history. The people, especially. I always look for female leaders in history, women who broke boundaries, women who took on great challenges. And for me as a kid, they were kind of like mentors, the people in history that I read about. So I think that's kind of what drew me to it.
Oh, interesting. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Inglewood, which I'm very proud of, here in Southern California. I spent 16 years in Utah. My formative years between 10 and 26, which was an interesting experiment for me, having been born here in Southern California with all the diversity, to then be transported to a place where there was no diversity. But it was beautiful. I learned how to ski, I learned how to snowboard, I learned how to appreciate nature, and then I came running back to LA as soon as I could.
So going back to history, was there any particular author or female, famous person in history that really drew you to reading more about that person and discovering what the politics is behind?
I had a great love of France. I was fascinated by Paris, which brought me to a woman named Simone de Beauvoir, who was a famous philosopher, came about in the 1940s and 50s, post-World War II. She looked at women in contrast to men, and this idea of women being second-class citizens and the ridiculousness of that. And there was something about that. And growing up in the 80s, where women were still struggling for equal rights in a lot of ways, just entering the workforce, finding their place in the workforce beyond teaching and nursing. She was really challenging narratives around what women could do and were told that they could not do. And she was just a great guide in terms of challenging myself and making sure that I didn't stop at any boundaries or barriers that might come up in my way.
So that brought you to education.
I started off wanting to be a librarian. Like I said, when I was a kid, I loved books. I used to make little cards inside of each of my books, and I had a little stamper, and I would play act with my family, checking books out like a librarian. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
But then everything library-based started to go technical, started to go computer-based, and I wanted the old card cabinets,
Catalog, yeah.
so that kind of faded away. And when I moved back down to California, I wanted to make a difference. I knew that. In Utah, I had just general jobs and sales, and that was not fulfilling at all. And so between my love of history and this idea that I could help to foment change in some way in the world, that brought me to teaching.
So how has teaching and education in general changed you over the years?
Well, I'm a big fan of public education. I really feel that public education saved my life in many ways. I grew up in a difficult family. I grew up with challenges, and school was always a safe haven. Teachers were people for me who had seen the world, who understood the world in a way that I had not experienced yet. And I saw school and those teachers as a portal to something bigger than I was living in. A way to, kind of like a roadmap to a future. And so going to school was exciting for me. I loved school. And the teachers helped me to understand that Utah and the small town that I lived in, that was not all that there was, and that there was a really, really big world out there, which along with my own reading kind of reinforced this idea of I needed to go and see and do.
So I'm curious how you see the difference between the kids then and the kids now. It sounds like for you, you had a lot of self-motivation, self-initiation. You looked beyond your boundaries. It's not a lot of kids have that skill today. How did you get that, or did you ever try to teach that, or how can we teach that?
Well, in the last 10 years or so, with the advent of cell phones and social media, this idea that the world is bigger than your phone, that has been my mantra very much so. Seeing how much kids see their world only with what they can hold within their hand, and that the world is so much bigger. I, in my classroom, would have different little souvenirs that I brought from different countries as a way, as a talking point with kids to try to talk to them about where do you want to go, what do you want to see, and kind of nudging and pushing and having an expectation of my students that they would go and they would see and they would do beyond just doing this. And trying to remind them every day that there's a big world out there. The warm-ups every day usually were videos of either music from the past or a travelogue to somewhere, just to try to open ideas of places to go and things to do.
And so I understand you yourself are a big traveler.
Yeah. Yes.
So where have you traveled to?
Mostly Europe. Like I said, I was always fascinated by Paris. I thought as a kid, if I could get to Paris, France, then I could figure things out. One of those kind of silly things as a kid, but I made the goal happen. I got to Paris when I was 18, and I started building my life from there. And I was a Francophile for a long time. I've been an Anglophile and loving England now for a long time, but
Did you speak any French?
I did. I took French throughout middle school, high school, and college, but when you actually go to the country and try to speak it as opposed to in a classroom, very different experience. But love Italy also. I just love Europe. I love the laid-back lifestyle, the unhurriedness of it.
Yeah. It's amazing. So growing up, traveling, challenges. How do you deal with challenges, whether in the classroom or in life? What are some coping skills that you have learned over the years?
Well, when it comes to teaching, my mantra was always, you need to be the adult in the room. And that has helped me to manage and deal with the different challenges of running classrooms for 25 years, from middle school through high school. And I think I've also taken that mantra a lot out into the world also, in that I'm I am a human and I am a person and I have wants and needs and I'm willing to work with anybody, but ultimately, this is my life and I got things to do. So I make them happen because I get this life and I want a lot out of it.
Yeah. If you are interested in buying any of our Hollywood High School merchandise, we have sweaters, shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, and of course, the sweatpants for the cold days. Please visit us at the student store during business hours of 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll see you at Hollywood High School. Talk to me about how the Academy came about and those challenges to the student who's not the motivated self-initiator.
So in 2004, the model for the Teaching Career Academy, it was not created out of nothing. The model was brought from another high school by a woman named Juliana Glynn, who I worked with for 4 years here to establish the program. One of the things that we figured out right off the bat was to get the kids out of school, meaning that take them to the elementary schools and have them work with children. And in doing that, the kids became different, in many ways, better humans by spending their time with a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old and being a role model. And so between what we taught them in the classroom around the methodology of child development with the actual application in the classrooms at elementary schools, it was a real eye-opener in terms of how students can grow and learn and how they need experiential learning, not just theory out of a book in a classroom. And it was that combination of bringing theory together with practice for them that really allowed them to see themselves as something more, I believe, than they'd ever been able to see themselves before. This being in charge of something, creating a lesson plan, implementing a lesson plan, understanding how it worked, what went well, what didn't go well, how to tweak it for the next time. That whole process really helped to enlarge students' understanding of themselves and what they were capable of. And at the beginning in 2004, probably for a good 6 years, we ran all 4 grade levels every week. Every week we would send out roughly 200 kids, between 150 and 200 kids to local elementary schools.
Wow.
And it was a learning experience for me. It definitely was a challenge that when I look back at it now, I'm like, oh my gosh. We would walk a mile each way to Gardner Elementary School with 50 kids, high school students, once a week. So it was a learning experience for me, but it really helped me to understand the importance of what we were doing at Hollywood High School with the Teaching Career Academy and how no matter what kind of student you were able to see yourself as somebody who could change for the better, the life of somebody else.
Absolutely. So, a lot of what we do in education is based on values. That seems to be something it was centered on, the education as a value to the students. I still hear stories till today about students who were in elementary school who remember their mentor all these years later. So I agree in that opportunity to connect with a bigger, older, whether the student is young or old, they have a mentor, big brother, big sister. So their big brother, big sister relationship, they still remember till this day. And I want to ask about values now. How have values changed throughout the years as far as what kids valued then and what kids value now?
It's more of a challenge to help them to see their impact on others because, again, I keep going back to the phone, the impact through social media is what they value. And that's not necessarily a human-to-human contact value system. And so they're much more hesitant to go out. We have students that still struggle even going on field trips sometimes. It may feel scary for some of them. So trying to instill in them this idea of you can do more than you think you can do. You can get on that bus and you can go. And when you get there, it will be something, but you won't know that until you do it. Yeah. And so it's more nudging, it's more dialogue with them, it's more encouraging of them than we had in the past, where without social media, without their phones, the understanding of person-to-person contact like we're having now was much more valued than I'm seeing today.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. The whole cell phone and social media world really warps the image of what life is and what the possibilities are, because they're not really looking at reality when you're flipping through Instagram and TikTok. A lot of that stuff is staged and created.
Yes.
And then when they're in their bedroom, it's hard to get them off the bed, get them off the couch, get them off the TV, get them in. So what are some things that the Teaching Career Academy provides to students? And a ninth grader, somebody who's watching is saying, okay, I might be interested in Teaching Career Academy. I want to be an educator. So it's not always just being a teacher, right? What can TCA and Teaching Career Academy open doors to for a student?
Well, we've always looked at ourselves not only as educators, but in being in all of the helping professions. So if you want to be a social worker, if you want to be a nurse, if you want to be a physical therapist, if you do or don't want to work with children in the future, the skills that you learn and the theories that you come to understand about human development, child development, is really understanding yourself. It's understanding your family. It's understanding your little brothers and sisters and cousins. And all of those theories, plus the skills of working with other human beings, those are the valuable skills you take into any job or any career. But especially those in the helping professions. So irregardless if you want to be a classroom teacher, we always try to help our students understand that education is more than just being a teacher. It's being an administrator, it's being a counselor. We have a partnership with Amplify Educational Technology. It's about creating games, it's about creating educational technology to help kids to learn and to grow. That the field is very wide when we talk about education. It is not just about being a classroom teacher.
I remember a time we went down to the Jim Henson studio.
Yes.
And the world of television
Yes.
and education. That intersection is huge.
Yeah.
And students got a chance to see the backdrop of what it takes to run a Muppet show.
Yes.
You know?
And that's valuable learning also, children's education in a different format. So we really strive to help our students understand that being in the Teaching Career Academy is not just about being a teacher, but it's about so much more, that by the time you graduate, the skills you will have built with us will help you to be ready for whatever career you choose to launch yourself into.
Yeah. And the future is so big. I want to jump on the topic of AI. How do you see AI playing a role in education?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a big joke, but the joke about me is that I never made a full leap to technology with my teaching style. I have been very paper-based and using the textbooks and using papers and pencils. And it's challenging because the kids, I don't want to say they don't know how, they kind of forget the power of their own brain. And in forgetting the power of your brain and kind of giving that power over to technology, you are losing, I feel, part of your humanity, and you are losing part of your sense of understanding yourself. when you lose the connection between your mind, your heart, and your body and give it over to technology. So I've been quite a warrior against the use of AI. I have colleagues who I've dearly appreciated how they have explained to me how they are incorporating AI into their teaching and the value of it, which I deeply respect. Just from my personal perspective, though, it was not a challenge I wanted to take on at the end of my career. So I just kept kind of pushing that old school, you can read and you can write and it will be okay.
Yeah. Let's not forget we're human beings.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, that's fascinating what you said. I really resonate with that of giving yourself over. That's a new way of thought of you giving yourself over to AI. And I wonder in 10 years, 20, 50 years from now, if there's going to be an intersection of human beings and AI machines and who's who, are we going to be able to distinguish?
Yeah.
So with all this said, what advice would you give to a novice teacher who's coming into the profession now?
I would tell them to remember what their teachers have taught them, to try to find in their past teacher or teachers that have inspired them, and think about their techniques, think about how they ran their classrooms, what their temperament was, how they spoke to their students. I would say think about that. I would remind them and tell them over and over again to be the adult in that space of your classroom, that kids need boundaries and that they need to feel safe and know that adults are there to take care of them, not just to teach them. And I would encourage them to be creative because now in public education there are a lot of restrictions concerning testing deadlines and expectations about different tests that students would take, that they not let that stifle their creativity and their initiative to create a classroom where students feel appreciated and can thrive in the learning environment that they create.
And so on the opposite end of that, what advice would you give to an incoming ninth grader to their high school career?
It would be the same advice I've given for the last 21 years at Hollywood High School, which is you are not in middle school anymore. This is not middle school. And so I worked with ninth graders for 16 years. I was a ninth grade teacher, and they come in like little spinning tops, you know, they're all kind of all over the place. But if you're teaching ninth grade, as an educator, those ideas of being the adult in the room, creating a safe space, having high expectations, and reminding those ninth graders that they are not in middle school anymore, that they have to earn credit. If you don't earn your credit while you're in the class, that you have to go to summer school. And if you don't go to summer school, then you have to take the class again next year. That just getting D's and F's is not how we roll here at Hollywood High School, and it's not how it works.
No. So what can a Teaching Career Academy student expect coming into the ninth grade? What can they expect in senior year?
So you have a series of child development classes. We run a dual enrollment program, which means starting in the 11th grade, you become a college student. You are enrolled at West Los Angeles City College. You have a college professor that you meet with twice a week, and you do that in 11th and 12th grade. And at the end of those 2 years, you end up with an actual teaching certificate. You are eligible to apply to the state of California for a teaching credential at the preschool level, so that when you leave high school, not only have you been a college student, but you've also are now a certificated teacher at the preschool level, so that you are ready for a career if that is what you choose to do, which is unique for high schools. There are more and more high schools now that offer college classes, dual enrollment, certification, and we're proud in the Teaching Career Academy that we have our program that can serve students And even if they choose not to get the certificate, they've still had the college experience while they're in school and can say, I'm a college student, at 16, 17 years old, which helps a lot with self-esteem. It helps a lot with understanding the challenges that lay ahead. If they're saying, I want to go to college, well, they get their college experience here in high school to understand the rigor and the expectations.
So potentially, a ninth grade student that sticks through the program in 4 years, they can come out of high school with a preschool certificate and teach in the fall.
Yes.
And wow, that's amazing.
Yes, it is.
That's absolutely amazing.
And it's a goal that we've worked towards for quite a while now, and so we're very proud of that program. And our relationship with West Los Angeles City College.
Talk to me about the grade level projects. So I understand Teaching Career Academy is very project-based heavy. Everything is done in collaboration amongst the teachers and the students.
Yeah.
So what program is that, and how does that work?
For example, ninth grade, we had a project this year where our English and history teacher worked together with ethnic studies, Mexican American studies, and English, where our students created museum pieces based on different ethnicities that they learned about in their ethnic studies class. And then they created a museum where they brought in teachers and students and explained their museum pieces, which was fabulous. That was the first one for this year. 10th grade, we've been working with the city of West Hollywood during Holocaust Remembrance Month, and we always take a group of 10th graders who have learned about genocide and the Holocaust to go meet Holocaust survivors and hear stories about the plight of those people and their resilience coming through it. 11th grade, we've worked on a children's book for years, which is English history and child development. And then in 12th grade, it's really about lesson planning. It's really about developing lessons and different subject matter and then applying those while you are having your teaching experience at the elementary schools.
And what kind of support do the teachers get to create these lessons? Who's providing the support?
We're part of what's known as the Link Learning Alliance, which is an organization that helps teachers and schools to build real-world experience in professions. And so we are provided financial support. We're provided also support from the people who work for Link Learning to come into our classrooms to mentor our students through the projects. So we do have that relationship, which is very valuable.
Amazing. The last question is, if you could have dinner with any guest, past or present, who would it be?
Could I have two? I want Barack and Michelle Obama. I want to have dinner with them. I came of age at a time where having the first black president was monumental. It was absolutely monumental. And the way that Barack Obama has carried himself with such grace and dignity through his presidency and after the challenges that he faced as president and the dignity that he brought to that office, I've always had great admiration for. Michelle Obama, also groundbreaking in terms of her job as First Lady, but also reminding people that she was a highly skilled professional and a well-educated woman before any of the presidency happened, and that she had a high-powered career and that she chose to have children, and together that they were this couple that brought just a different feel to America. And America really needed that at the time. And I've admired them for their strength because there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of negativity around that presidency. And they kept their fire, but also kept their dignity through all of it. And so I have huge respect for them and would just love to hang out and chat with them.
Oh. What would you ask them?
What would I ask them?
Yeah.
I would be curious to ask President Obama about the Ukraine, his decision around the first push of Russia into the Ukraine and drawing that red line, and how he sees that now with what's going on in the Ukraine, and if he would do anything different about his decision at that time. And I'd also ask him about Iran, you know, and our pulling out of that agreement with Iran and the repercussions, and what advice he would give around Ukraine and Iran both, having been in that situation with both of those countries, very highly dangerous situations with both of those countries, and see what he would do with that now if he were still president.
Yeah, just goes back to the the saying of history repeats itself. So.
That's why you got to know your history, because nothing really is new a lot of the time. Nothing is really new. As humans, we tend to cycle through so much of the same dramas we tend to play out over and over.
So the message is know your history, kids.
Know your history.
Know your history. Dr. Bender, what a pleasure it was to converse with you. Thank you for coming to the Principal Podcast. As a tradition we have here, we ask our guest to write a question for our next guest. So if you would do that for me, please.
Okay. Okay. Simple and to the point.
Awesome. I'll keep that a surprise
I will.
until the next guest.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.